Welcome back to the YouTube channel for the New England Player. I am your host and founder, Matthew Andrews. So in this video, we are delighted to bring you another interview here on the New England Players YouTube channel. And in this video, we sit down and have a wonderful conversation with Peter Doherty, who serves as the Director of Golf at the Atkinson Resort and Country Club in Atkinson, New Hampshire. This year marks the 30th anniversary for golf being played at the Atkinson Resort and Country Club. In this video, we discuss with Peter what makes the golf course and the layout there so special for golf in the state of New Hampshire. We talk about some of the additional facilities that can be found on site, such as the wonderful par 3 course, the practice facilities available to members there, as well as the Willow Creek Golf Academy. We talk about the success of the junior golf programs that the Atkinson Resort and Country Club has hosted over the years. And then we also discuss with Peter what he thinks makes golf in the New England region so special. So as always, we hope you enjoy this video. And as always, please be sure to give this video a like. Please be sure to comment below on what you think. And as always, please be sure to subscribe to the channel to make sure that you don't miss any content that we have coming forward from here. All right, thanks very much. And let's get into the conversation with Peter. All right. Well, Peter, thank you so much for joining me today on the New England Players YouTube channel. I'm really excited to be able to talk with you about Atkinson Resort and Country Club. So welcome.
I appreciate it, Matt. Thanks for having me on.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Yeah. So I think one of the main reasons why I wanted to be able to chat with you certainly this year is I think it's a pretty nice momentous year for the club in that I believe it's the 30th year that at least some form of the Atkinson Resort and Country Club golf course has been around. I think it was in 1996 that the first 9 holes came about. The next 9, or I think, were a couple of years after that. So really special year for the club and really just an awesome golf course. Certainly one of my favorites in the state of New Hampshire. So I'm excited to be able to talk with you about the golf course and everything that you guys got going on there. But yeah, I think before we get into what makes Atkinson such an awesome place to play and learn the game, I'd love to be able to get to know you a little bit first. So maybe talk to us a little bit about where you're from, how you originally got into the game of golf, and ultimately what was your journey to becoming a golf professional and eventually the director of golf at Atkinson.
Yeah, I think I don't vary too much from other golf professionals. I grew up playing the game of golf. I have 2 brothers and a dad that basically brought me to the golf course every day. I grew up at Merrimack Golf Club in Methuen, Mass. Old Donald Ross design, privately owned by a family that I still consider like a second family to mine. We would just show up at the golf course every morning and roll putts and jump on the first tee, and they were very junior friendly. So that was obviously an attraction for my family. My father had been a member there for years, and there was a lot of junior golfers to play golf with. So we spent our childhood on the golf course playing 18 or 36 a day, and actually started working at the golf course on the grounds crew when I was about 14, back in the mid 80s, and worked there for about 10 years, kind of learning that side of the business a little bit off and on. And then I ended up out in California. The San Diego Golf Academy is one of the 4 academies that were around the country at the time. And when I went out there, I had a friend of mine back here that was in the golf business, Joe Healy, who was the pro here in 96. And him and I stayed in touch, and he eventually was, talking to me about the business and what I was looking to do. And while I was out there, conversations led to, why don't you come back to work for me in the spring? I'm going to need an assistant. Didn't really want to leave San Diego in the middle of winter to come back. But circumstances led me back here, and I started back here in April of 97 as his first assistant and basically only assistant at the time. We were a small property, 9 holes that were open, just, no driving range yet, no back 9, but had plans for all of that along with the clubhouse we're in now. So I started working for him with, not much knowledge of that side of the business. So he was a great a great mentor for me to kind of show me the business side of it and grow me as a golf professional. So I spent probably 10 years working under him. When he left in 2006, I was offered the position of head golf professional here. And from there, we've grown into the director of golf role in 2013, and I've been in that role ever since.
Excellent. Very good. And the club, I mean, it's certainly, again, one of my favorites in the state of New Hampshire. I think it's certainly one of its best modern design, certainly in the last 30 years. And I've always enjoyed the experience there. I think it's just an awesome place. So I think you've done an awesome job there. It just continues to be a great golf experience. So Yeah, so kind of on those lines, maybe we'd love to just kind of dive into the golf course. And again, for those who don't know, I really think that it's one of the best designs, in the last 30 years in the state. Continues to get just awesome reviews from, say, like the New England Golf Guide and a number of other outlets. So let's dive maybe into the golf course a little bit. So if no one's like played there, how would you best describe like the layout at Atkinson and what makes it such an awesome test of golf?
So one of my favorite things about the golf course is you can play it 10 times and you're going to play it 10 different ways. It's not the kind of club that it's, 1 through 18, you're hitting the same tee shot every time, every hole. You're not hitting a wedge into every par four. There's 5 sets of tees. So based on your ability and the yardage you want to play, it can be a challenge. Or you can play a tee up and, try and score. We've cleared a ton of trees out in the last 10, 15 years. So the golf course is much more user friendly, but it's in pristine shape. And like I said, you can step on the first tee and you can hit one of 4 different golf clubs off the first tee if you want, based on wind and what tees you're playing. And then, again, the next time you play it, you can hit driver, or you can hit 5-iron, or you can hit 7-iron to lay up before the bunkers. Every hole gives you a test like that. And it's also an opportunity to score in certain holes. There's a lot of risk reward out here. We do hear a lot of people say it's really challenging. I do suggest to a lot of people maybe play the right set of tees for you based on yardage, because it is sloped and rated pretty high. But you play it a few times, you start to get more comfortable on the tee box, and it's not as intimidating as you might think it might be. So, and you've played it, you experienced it. So, we're fortunate to have the turf team do the job they do, and the golf course from tee to green is in private club shape. We hear that a lot. I can't believe this is a public golf course. It's, this is in better condition than a lot of private clubs I play. So we're pretty fortunate in that regard. Yeah, the golf course is certainly a test, and it's fun to play. It's one of my favorite golf courses I've ever played. And I'm not saying that because I've worked here for 30 years. It is one of my favorite golf courses to play because it does truly test you.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think I can attest to that too. So little anecdote for myself. I played it from the back tees the first time last year, which it was, I just couldn't believe how much different it was from playing, say, like the greens or the whites. And I shot a 99 the first time I played it, but I was like, it was like one of those things where it's just like, just even a month later, I was like, and this is a testament, I think, to just how awesome the course is. I was like, I got to get back there as soon as I can to give that another try. And it's like when you start learning like some of the nuances of the course and like picking the right targets and things like that. It's like I came back and managed to shoot a 90 on the second go around. And it was just, I think that's one of the things that, at least for me, the course is so much fun. Is like, it's kind of like you said, it's like trying to figure out like, it's got like so many different ways that you can play it, and like figuring out the strategy for it. It's just a fun place to try to unlock, I think, which again, is just testament to how awesome the design is. Yeah.
Yeah, and you learn where to miss it, right? Most golf courses, if you play it for the first time and it's tree lined on both sides, you're swinging with a little bit of fear, and you're trying to hit center of the green most of the time. But as you play the golf course more and more, you start to learn, okay, if I miss it here a little bit, there's not a hidden bunker back there that I can't miss, or a water hazard here. It's you get a little bit more comfortable over those golf shots, which obviously produces better golf shots. So
Absolutely. Yeah, very good. Yeah, and in terms of like some of the specifics of the layout, I think the course certainly has a lot of very interesting holes. I think the par fives by today's standards are probably like maybe slightly on the shorter end, but I think they've got some really interesting design aspects. Like, for example, on the second hole, you've got like that, sort of split fairway going on. Certainly can't miss long there. The par fives on the back are quite interesting with the landscape that they occupy. Some of the rocky elements of the first par five on the back are pretty cool. But certainly if there's any holes that people like would think about in terms of like maybe some of the signature holes, or some of the holes that they either need to like really keep some focus on, or maybe the ones that are the scoring opportunities. How would you describe like maybe some of at least maybe the ones in your mind that are like some of the key holes out there, and maybe the ones that define the course best?
Good question. So two is the par five, as you mentioned, right? It's early in the round, and it's kind of one of the risk reward holes. So if you know the golf course and you're comfortable, you can hit driver over there. And it is a split fairway, so you're trying to keep it either on the top shelf or the bottom shelf. Either shelf, you now have an opportunity to get to the green. We cut down a big, massive tree that was in the way when you're on the top shelf. But it is pond behind the green, downhill a little bit, kind of runs through the green. So club selection on a second shot would be important. If you're looking to get off on the right foot on your round, right? You hear people, they start out here with one's one of our easier holes. So, you kind of get through there with a par and, get the nerve out of the way. And then you get on two. And if you do pull driver, you have to be accurate, or else, 7 or 8 comes into play pretty quickly. I think one of the most challenging holes out here is 7, depending on what tee you're playing. So if you play the black tees on the back tee, it's about 230 to carry that little cross ditch. The widest part of the fairway is only about 30 yards after that ditch, and then there's a bunker that comes into play for those longer hitters, and that fairway to the right of that is a little bit more narrow. And even then, if you hit the fairway, the green is pretty well guarded, and you're generally not going to have a flat lie. So it's a challenge. Even if it's a mid to short iron into that green, it's going to be a challenge anyways. So 2 precise shots there is really, key to getting through that hole. Our par 3s on the front can play anywhere from 180 to 210, depending on where the tee markers and the pin are. So again, 2 really demanding par 3s, but 2 precise shots get you through those holes. I think 12 is one of the harder holes on the golf course. Another risk reward for those that don't play the golf course or haven't. There's a pond in front of the green that you can't see. So if you are a long hitter and you knock one out there pretty good, you better keep it airborne all the way to the green, or else you're going to be, diving for a golf ball in the pond. But if you're talking about a signature hole for me, I think 11, our par 3 from the top tee, is probably the most beautiful hole we have here, especially in the fall when you get the trees changing colors and you stand up there. It can play anywhere from 180 to 190. Green is really wide, so club selection is the most important. If you miss it a hair right or left, you're probably still on the green, but you might have a 60, 70-foot putt. So it's a beautiful hole from up top. I always suggest to people, when you get behind that green, kind of take a look back at that tee box, because it is a true New England golf course cut out of granite. There's a tee box is sitting on top of a huge boulder that's just beautiful. So a lot of good holes out here. I wish I could say that, one is harder than the other, or one is more beautiful than the other. If I had to pick, the most beautiful hole would be 11. I think one of the best holes on the golf course to get through your round early is probably 2.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. Yeah, and a par 3 on the back, yeah, it truly is awesome. And I think one of the things that's interesting about the par 3s is like you get through like the first 3 of them, 11 being like one of the second to last one, and then you get to the short one, which is I want to say is that 14, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. It's a funny golf hole because like when you see it, it appears to be like relatively straightforward, but you don't have any idea until you've played it, like how far it drops off the right into that bunker. So it's like, even though it looks like a relatively simple hole from the tee, you just cannot miss it right. It's like an automatic, like, four, in my view, from there. And then for me, having played it again just a number of times, I think one of the holes that I think is I would say sneaky difficult, at least in my view. I think the 17th is pretty sneaky in terms of how difficult that one can be, because especially if you get the wind, blowing from left to right, which is the way the hole moves, and kind of down the hill from there. I think it's so easy to have it take that wind all the way into the woods on the right. So I think 17 is one of the more interesting holes, at least from my playing perspective. It sneaks up on you how hard I think that hole can be. Yeah. It's just an awesome one to kind of just like give you a last sort of big test towards the very end of the round there.
Yeah, 17, we built a new tee a few years back for the whites that were further up on the left a little bit. So you kind of playing it more straight on for the majority of players that play the golf course, they play the whites. And we have that new 55 plus community called the Heights being built on the left-hand side. So, it kind of takes them out of play a little bit, which is good. But if you're playing the greens or the blacks, most people tend to play it up the left side just because that rock cropping comes out on the right. And they're trying to peel one off, the left side of the fairway, because it does feed right up there. So again, that's course knowledge, people understanding, how the terrain is in the fairway and knowing which way the ball's going to roll when they get up there. Because if you take one up the right center and that ball has a little bit of a tail on it, that's going to end up in the right woods there. And now you're blocked out for a shot into that green. So, but all that leads right into the 18th. When you get to the 18th tee and you stand on that tee box, as you've seen, and you get that beautiful clubhouse in the background, it's a short par 4 distance wise on the card, but again, we hear a lot of people when they stand in the fairway from 115, 20 yards, maybe with a wedge in their hand, and they see a patio full of people and there's a little ravine right in front of the green. That shot becomes a little bit more difficult than your average wedge shot.
Yeah, and I remember the first time I played it, just like thinking about having to hit that shot, I think it's also just such a tricky finishing hole from the perspective of the green itself, which has got a lot of slopes and tiering to it, and then you factor in the water hazard up front. Plus, you mentioned like the potential huge crowd that you could have there. It's you factor it all in, and it's like it's definitely a nervy finishing shot to get the round wrapped up with, for sure, I'd say. But it's an awesome, no doubt. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good way to finish the round right before you head in for a drink. So
exactly. No, that's great. No, thanks for that. I mean, it's just such an awesome layout. Like, if anyone listening, if you haven't played it yet, I would say certainly get it on your calendar soon. And I think it's such a testament to that land area too, because again, it's kind of in like that, I'd say like that general Haverhill, Mass sort of greater area. And if you look at like some of the courses that are kind of in that region of New England, it's like the granite rock outcroppings. It's just like such a compliment, I think, to the land of that area, which I think is just an awesome thing about the course, certainly. Now, in terms of like some of the architectural elements of the course, as far as like how the holes route or where the greens are placed or anything like that, how would you describe how maybe the architectural physical aspects of the course have changed in the last 30 years? Is it mainly the same layout, or are there some things maybe you've moved to green here or there? Is there anything major that's changed about from when it was originally built?
So 2 holes have changed. They're not major, but 15 up our par 4, the green used to be settled below the rock cropping. So your second shot was a little bit blind. You kind of had a target in the background you would aim to. So we moved that green now probably 30, 40 yards back. So it's more at eye level from the fairway. And that approach area, or the old green, is now the approach area. So, it's not an easier shot, but it might be an easier shot just because you can see the green, you can see the number. The green is a 2-tier green, so depending on the flag, you have to be pretty careful about, club selection, because it's a pretty big tier. So if you're on the top shelf, putting to the bottom shelf, the greens here are usually rolling about a 10. They're rolling nice. It's tough to kind of keep it, near the cup, if you're trying to 2-putt it from the top shelf. So club selection on your second shot is pretty important. And then the next hole, 16, we redesigned it a little bit. The last probably 100 yards, cleared out a bunch of trees on the left, and then redesigned the green on the left-hand side. So your second shot, you have an easier time getting to that green if you're going for it in 2. It used to be set up on the hill a little bit further right, so you had to hit a little baby fade off the tee if you wanted to challenge it with a driver, which most people, if you're trying to score, maybe a fairway wood or a hybrid off the tee is your best play. And then, in the past, you still had to hit another little fade into that green. So, and everything rolls from right to left. So again, a little bit of a challenge to try and keep the ball in the fairway and then attack that old green. But now it's a little bit more user-friendly, and the green has kind of a nice approach to it with the bunker on the left guarding it. So a ball that might go a little bit left is still protected. It's not going to roll into the woods. So those are your 2 major changes that we've done in the last 30 years. Other than that, we've cut down a ton of trees. This golf course, it was almost unrecognizable when I see old pictures about which hole we're standing on, with how many trees that were out here. And, which is a credit to the turf team again for the conditions that we're in. They've been afforded that opportunity to have trees cut down, better wind flow, better sunlight towards these greens. And for the player that plays, you stand on a tee box and you don't see as many trees. It's not as intimidating anymore, which is good. The golf course itself is a challenge enough.
Yeah, no, certainly. Excellent. Well, that's interesting. So yeah, it sounds like it's largely intact, but so definitely some good key changes, which is good as well. Awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So in addition to the championship course, you certainly have some awesome facilities at the site as well. Talk to us a little about the practice area and what you can expect there as a member. And you also have the par 3 course on site, and maybe tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so our practice area, our members are afforded the opportunity. We have like a 70-yard practice hole for them. It's a members-only area. We have grass tees for the members to use anytime they wish. There's 12 hitting bays for the public, which is busy, year-round at between the academy and up top. So in season, you see a lot of people that are just warming up before their round, because bucket of ball comes with your round of golf. So you go over and hit 15, 20 balls to loosen up, and then you jump on the putting green, roll a few putts before you call it to the first tee. But the members generally will use that practice facility pretty well. It's a great warm up. There's 2 greenside bunkers down there. They can warm up anywhere from 70 yards in. And then the members tee itself, there's a nice grass tee, so some nice markers, targets on the range itself for them to practice. And then the par 3 golf course we opened in 2009, and that was the idea, was to try and get a place originally for some juniors to go out and develop a junior program here for our kids, have a place for them to go learn the game instead of trying to get them on the big course and be intimidated. But once we got the par 3 golf course built, it has exploded. I mean, I think it was almost 17,000 rounds last year on the par 3 course between a couple of leagues we do, the junior camps we do. We see a lot of seniors that play out there because it's a golf course where they don't feel like they're rushed and they get pushed around, and there's nobody standing behind them yelling at them because they're playing too slow. They just go out and enjoy themselves. It's great.
Awesome. Excellent. Very good. Very good. Yeah, and you mentioned the academy briefly there. So I think one of the other things I'd love to just get some insight on is just your association with the Willow Creek Golf Academy. So how long has that relationship for you folks been around, and what do people have at their disposal there?
So that opened in January 1st of 2009. We've got 12 heated bays, so it is a year-round facility, and it's strictly public. So people can go down there and hit balls all winter long. They go down and use grass. So if somebody from the public wants to have grass tees to hit off of, that's open Tuesday through Sunday down there. So they can go down there, barring a camp or something that's restricting the grass area. But most of the time, Tuesday through Sunday, they can go down there and use the grass to work on their games themselves. There's a pro shop down there. We have 3 heated coaching studios upstairs. So that's where all of our fittings and teaching are done. And then there's a practice area for the students themselves. So our coaches will use the putting green in the practice hole that's about 50 yards long down there for short game practice, for putting, for camps, clinics, things like that. But the studios themselves are equipped with V1 and TrackMan in each one. So any fittings that are done, any camps that we want to do, run through there. It's a great resource for students to learn the game and get, video feedback and get, especially when you're fitting for clubs. It's nice to have that data sitting right in front of you that says this is the best club for you based on the data. It's not 30 years ago anymore where I'm looking at somebody hitting a golf ball and going, that looks like it's the best one for you. Let's go with that one. So it's concrete information that is pretty easy to kind of give to the student and let them walk away feeling comfortable they bought the right equipment for themselves.
Awesome. Excellent. Yeah. And everything I've seen, it just looks like such a premier setup that you all have there to make sure people are learning the game, getting their mechanics right, and as you mentioned, getting the right clubs. So it just continues to look like an awesome operation there. It's just great. And then, the other thing I was curious about too. So the clubs association with the PGA Junior League, long-standing thing. Certainly when I was a member at Atkinson a while back, I would always see the kids out there playing the course, and got an opportunity actually to play along with some of them when I was a member there once, and just amazed at like how well these kids can hit the ball. It's just incredible. But talk a little bit maybe about the history of your association with the PGA Junior League and why it continues to be such an important thing for you guys.
So we're pretty fortunate. Back in 2014-ish, we started with PGA Junior League. Just like anything that's new, you're really, hitting the ground running, trying to like word of mouth, get kids that want to participate in this program. We're learning more about it ourselves and then trying to attract, families to come and play golf. And for us, we knew that if we can get some of these kids involved, we might get mom and dad to also get back into the game, because a lot of parents, when they have kids, stop playing golf. So PGA Junior League kind of, killed 2 birds with 1 stone for us. It allowed us to grow the game through the juniors, but also get mom and dad thinking, maybe I can start playing golf with my son or daughter again. So we had we put together some teams, and we had some good years playing PGA Junior League with other clubs. But by 2016, we started to have so many kids that wanted to be involved in our program that we ran our own program. So since then, we've done our own program internally. We run 3 seasons now. It's spring, fall, and summer. Brian Diamond, our PGA professional of almost 30 years, is kind of our lead coach. He's the only coach right now that's running that. Does an amazing job. I mean, he's got probably 80 kids each season playing in that. We've been recognized the last 2 years as being a top 20 participant in the country. Last year, moving up to number 16 in the country as far as participation goes. And that's just a complete credit to Brian and his desire to grow the game through the junior golf program. We had some kids back in 2016 that made a pretty good run at the national championship, and we fell short regionally and lost in the finals regionally. We got back there in 2017, and we actually hosted the regional finals in 2017. And now we're able to win that and ended up out in Arizona or Greyhawk for the national finals and top 8 in the country. And some of those kids now, I look at them now, they're just graduating college last year or even this year, I think. And some of those kids, like Jack Pepin, one of our members, he just won the New Hampshire State Am, I think 3 years ago, got into the quarterfinals this year and lost. So a lot of good players have come out of that program, and more importantly, good kids. That's the best thing that I see is these kids stay involved with golf. They're really good kids. They're being raised by good families, and I think that's a tribute to the families themselves, but also the game of golf and the discipline that it requires to play this game at that level. And we're fortunate to watch them do that here. I mean, junior league for us has been outstanding, and Brian's got the next group of kids doing the same thing now. So it's amazing. Yeah, that's a program I can see us having for a long time.
Excellent. No, I think between that and the academy you guys have there, plus again, just how tremendous you guys are as the folks running it and the course itself, it's all just such a recipe for such an awesome place. And it's just, I mean, I just couldn't, just thinking about it, I just couldn't believe it's like, wow, 30 years. It's been 30 years for Atkinson. Yeah. So it's just awesome to see you guys.
It's flown by. I've been here since 97.
Yeah. It's something else. Certainly. Very good. Excellent. Well, yeah, I think that gives people just an awesome picture of what you guys have going on there. So I can't thank you enough for those insights. And I think maybe the last thing to close with, just kind of, just like a topic just outside of Atkinson, but something I just love discussing with everyone I have on my channel here is just kind of New England golf in general. Really, people hear me say this on these videos all the time, but really what I'm trying to do with this effort is just to focus stories like the ones of yourself and the ones of how Atkinson has grown just to be such a special place. And then just, New England golf generally, like what makes it such an awesome, place in our nation for the game and why people should come and experience it. So maybe just some closing thoughts from you. What do you think is just so special maybe about, maybe New England golf in general, but also maybe even specifically New Hampshire? Like, I don't even know that people necessarily think of New Hampshire as like as a prime golf state, but I think when you look at the modern designs like Atkinson, but also some of the, the special ones from the golden age, like the Mount Washington course designed by Ross, there's so much, I just think there's just so much under the radar, great golf in the state of New Hampshire. And, what do you think makes it so great in your own personal opinion? And what are some other courses in addition to Atkinson that you love most?
So New Hampshire to me is just, it's the beauty, right? I mean, you hard to play a golf course in this state where you're not, especially in the fall, where you're not staring at the trees and the beauty around you and the rock croppings. That's golf should be, played with friends, peaceful, hopefully, not too much stress, even though some of us are a little bit more competitive than others and get frustrated with bad golf shots, which happens occasionally. But I think overall, New England golf in general is just a beautiful place to play golf. I mean, I've been fortunate to experience Mount Washington. I play a Pro-Am up there every year in August and bring my brothers and a friend of ours. So we get to go up there and spend a night and just play that beautiful golf course. I've been up to Baker Hill, and Baker Hill is just, I mean, it's hard not to enjoy that golf course up in the, kind of the mountains area. And then Montcalm is another one that's a really good attraction. So we're pretty fortunate to live in the state we're at and have Massachusetts golf, the history with those golf courses between Myopia and Worcester and the Country Club. I mean, those are an hour from us because we sit right on the border. And if you have a chance to play those, being a PGA professional, and sometimes the section championships are there or some events are there and you're playing them, and you feel pretty special walking on hollow ground. So I think New England golf in general is, I mean, I wouldn't want to play anywhere else. I mean, other than I'm Irish, so I love going over to Ireland and playing some links golf. But I would, if I'm in the States, New England's where I'm playing.
Very good. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that, Peter. And yeah, I think that's just a wonderful testament to just really, again, how special the game is here. So can't thank you enough for that. And yeah, I think this has been just an awesome conversation. Again, I always continue to enjoy my personal experiences there at Atkinson. Just again, the staff, you guys are always great. The course is always in just such phenomenal shape. And what you guys continue to do with, again, the junior programs and stuff like that, I think it just all adds up to making Atkinson a very special place. And again, congratulations on the first 30 years, and certainly looking forward to seeing what the next 30 years are like for you guys.
Yeah, it'd be great. Hopefully this tradition continues for a long time here.
Very good. All right, Peter. Well, thank you again so much for your time. It was such a pleasure to chat with you. And if I find myself at Atkinson soon, I'll be sure to say hello.
Yeah, please do. Come on up and see us again, Matt. Appreciate the time and the conversation.
Very good. All right, you take care now.
You too. Thank you.